Good morning. Welcome to the Java Cafe, Java fam.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Let me make sure I got everything right. All right. We are good here. It is Thursday, September 12th, 2024, and you're in the Java Cafe. Just a couple of things to say. I want to say a happy birthday to, I call her my firstborn, my niece. She is my oldest sister's first child. Today is her birthday. Today is also the birthday of my grandfather, and we are celebrating his heavenly birthday. And so I know my mom is probably in here somewhere. So we're celebrating her granddaughter and her dad, my grandfather, and also my niece, Quanatisha. I think she has a different sort of artist name now. I forgot, but Tisha, I can say it today and you can get me later. TT, Uncle loves you and happy birthday. And so today I am so excited to bring back into the Java Cafe, the Boston Center for Independent Living. Bill Henning was with us a few months ago, talking about some advocacy in reference to personal care assistance. And he's going to share an update about that. And so today we're going, though this agency has a 50-year history, Bill and others were very intentional about having some of the younger people that they work with come and share their story today. So we have Kat. Maximo was with us. And so hopefully Maximo will jump back in, but I'm going to bring Kat and Bill in, and then hopefully we can get Maximo back. And we're going to hear about their event coming up, as well as just the great work that they've been doing for 50 years. That's a lot of work and a lot of support for independent living. And so without further ado, I would like to bring in Kat Torres Radsic. Did I get it right? Radsic?
Really close. Radisic.
Close, but no prize. Say it again.
Kat Torres Radisic.
Radisic. Okay, I was kind of close. And our good friend, Bill Henning, who is in the building. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Great. It's great to be back, Jimmy. Thanks for having us, Kat, and hopefully Maximo Pimental. He was on in the studio a few minutes ago, so hopefully he gets back in. But
trust me, I of anyone know how tech goes, and sometimes I'm sitting here cringing because things are just flashing. I'm like, just hold us. And so hopefully he will be back. But Kat, we're honored to have you here with us. And if you don't mind, I'm just going to give Bill a few minutes to sort of level set Boston Center for Independent Living. And there is Maximo. He's on his way. I seen a screen pop up. Now, once we see his face, we can bring him on. But Bill, you were with us a few months ago, talking about personal care assistants that are very important to the work that you do. And do you have an update for us? You can either do that or give us a little overview of the BCIL.
Yeah. First off, let's say on birthdays, I'm glad you shouted out your family. It's BCIL's 50th birthday this month. We were incorporated 50 years ago. So that's part of why we're on today. And you're on, Maximo. We can see you.
We got you.
And although he looks frozen.
All right.
I'll keep going while that gets worked out. But anyway, we were on with you, I think it was April, and in the midst of a campaign to push back against cuts to the state's personal care attendant program, which serves 48,000 people in the state. We were on with our phenomenal allies, 1199 SEIU, which is the union for the PCAs. And to our great pleasure and, happiness, the legislature put in language in the state budget that prevented the cuts. The governor signed the bill. We had two intense actions at the governor's office. We met with Maura Healy. She listened to us, and all seems good right now. So that's good news. We appreciated being able to talk about that. But BCIL has been providing services to people with disabilities in Boston, Greater Boston, since 1974. And it was founded by folks with disabilities and some rehab folks, names most people won't know, but they're kind of legendary in our circle: Elmer Bartels, Fred Fay, Bob McHugh, and Paul Corcoran. And the idea was people with disabilities want to be in the community like anybody else. Words that were ringing loud and clear at that time in the civil rights movement, women's movement, LGBTQA plus movement, which, gay rights at the time, about integration, equity, justice. People with disabilities were being placed in horrendous institutions. You still see the relics of them around. Drive down Route 9, you see the old, in Belmont, you see the old, or Waltham, the old Fernald School, the old Mass State Hospital. It's where they isolated and basically abused people with disabilities. Not that everyone who worked in a facility was horrible, but the sum total was brutal treatment and marginalization for people with disabilities. And BCIL was formed to counter that. We were one of the first such programs in the country. There's now about 500. We do get government funding, but what we would like to emphasize is we're speaking out on our 50th because we're part of a movement. We remain very much on the front lines of justice. We provide individual services to people, help them find housing, get a job, get on health care. But we're also out there pushing for civil rights for people with disabilities, promoting intersectionality. What we did with the union was so exciting because we were helping save jobs too. We were promoting independence for people with disabilities, seniors who use the PCA program, and the workers. PCAs are primarily women of color. This was the ultimate intersectional advocacy, live and real. It wasn't just something in some paper somebody wrote and said we should do this or that. We were on front lines, literally linked in arms with PCAs. And many of the consumers are also people of color, of course, and immigrants. And we heard some repulsive immigrant bashing Tuesday night. We oppose all of that. The falsehoods. We're proud to say 20% of our staff, we estimate, maybe even more, are immigrants to this country. We've got to act, we've got to walk the walk. So that's a little bit of who we are. And we got a big celebration September 21st, 1 to 4 at the Reggie Lewis in Roxbury. And everyone's invited. Good food. I think, who's going to be the host? You.
I think that is going to be me. That's going to be there on the 21st. So I'm excited about that. But Bill, thank you so much for updating us and then also letting us know what BCIL has been doing for 50 years. And in our sort of pre-talk real quick, you were excited about the fact that we have Kat. Maximo's trying to work it out. But Kat, first of all, we want to give you the opportunity to say good morning to the audience and greet and say hello. But I wanted to ask you, after you do that, everything that Bill just said, you as someone there that's taken advantage of the servitude and everything that BCIL does, I'd love to hear from you about the impact, you being involved there. Yes, it's 50 years. And Bill, I want to name, I'm 3 years, older. I just had a birthday on Sunday. And so I'm 3 years older than BCIL. But Kat, please say good morning. And I'd love to hear your experience with everything that Bill is talking about that they do. And I think we got Maximo back. So we'll start with Kat first. And Maximo, let's try to say, do we have you, brother? We got you. Okay. Cool. Do me a favor, pull that laptop up a little bit more so we can see your whole face and we'll be good. But Kat, go ahead and get started.
Sounds good. Thanks so much for having me, Jimmy.
Sorry, I'm having
connection issues. All right, Maximo, we're going to try to work through it. I'll put you in the background for a second and see if it catches up, and then Kat will go with you and Maximo will work it out. All right, Kat, go ahead and let us know the 50. Well, first of all, go ahead and say good morning, and then you get into the business.
Good morning, everyone. Yes, I'm Kat. I use they, them pronouns. I work at BCIL as a community organizer, and I advocate for accessible public transit. I've been working at BCIL for almost 2 years, and I've really been able to see the importance of the independent living movement, hear about the history of it, and kind of see what it's looking like moving forward. I have a lot of hope, given that I work here, how it can play out moving forward. And really, the independent living movement to me means allowing people with disabilities and older adults to live independently in society, whether that means having the opportunity to access home-based community services and supports, but also having access to accessible public transportation. That's really important for people to be fully participating members in society, allowing them to go to the doctors and medical appointments and go out with friends and school, education. And I think really by working here, it's allowed me to authentically live at the intersectionality of who I am. I am a person with non-visible disabilities, but I'm also a person that's part of the LGBTQIA plus community. And so being able to show up fully as myself and not just one of those intersections, but as all of the intersections of who I am. I hope that through the work that BCIL does and us, talking out loud about who we are, hopefully allows and encourages other people to show up as themselves fully and who they are.
Absolutely. And Kat, I will get into it in a few minutes, but I also at some point want to check in with you because there's, I think, a misconception that your generation, I'm not going to say our because we're a couple of generations apart, but this generation doesn't serve and it's all about them and whatnot. So it's exciting for me to hear that you have this servitude and the model of what BCIL does is transcending into the next generation to make sure that we fight for equity. And thank you also for naming, because we've talked about this a lot on this platform about non-visible disabilities. I say unique abilities, but thank you for naming that because we talk about that often. There's some things that you can't see. You know what I mean? And also the intersection, and we share the community being part of the LGBTQ plus community. So there's a whole lot there. So Kat, thank you. And you are definitely along with everyone, but welcome to the cafe this morning. Maximo, we got you. We can see your full face and everything. What's up, brother?
How you doing, Jimmy?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I'm good.
I'm going to give you a second just that you're good. Trust me, I know what it is when tech doesn't do what you want it to do in real time. So you're good. But say good morning to the people, introduce yourself, and tell us your relationship and a little bit about your experience with BCIL.
Sure. Good morning, everyone. My name is Maximo Pimentel. I am one of 7 youth leadership, youth transition facilitators here at BCIL. I work with youth 14 to 22 and help them with their transition to what they want to do after they graduate high school. So I teach them about transition to adulthood and transition to employment. I run school groups. Last year, the youth team served 14 schools throughout the Boston area, and also Chelsea and Revere. And we just work with the students on their goals and teach them about life skills and work on their goals to what they want to do after high school once they graduate.
And the young people, I think, is, I'm a youth worker at heart. That's where I started in this work some years ago. And so, Maximo, if I can start with you in this segment, for you, can you maybe name a couple of milestones for you that stand out? A student, you don't say their name, but a situation where it's a milestone for you, something that you were able to help one individual accomplish in your work there.
Sure. So I'm a graduate Boston Public School student. I'm in the disability services as well, and I've been in their shoes. So to help them achieve their goals and watch them succeed, it is awesome because like I said, I was in the same place they were before 6 years, 7 years ago, and watch them complete their goals just made me so happy to see them getting their independence, getting um, being able to do things by themselves in their community.
Let me ask you, Kate and Bill. I'm going to bring you back in a second, but you already let me know today is their show. And I said Kate, Kat. I'm sorry, Kat. How important is it that Maximo mentioned that he's a graduate? You've shared your non-visible disabilities. How important is it that BCIL, Bill? They are very. I presume there's intentionality about. We have all this. I work better with someone that looks like me and been through life. And a lot of times in equity, we're not as aggressive and forthcoming when we talk about equity for people that are dealing with non-visible disabilities and others as well. And so how is it working there at BCIL? Let me just simply frame it like that.
Sure. Yeah. It's a pretty special experience. I would say prior to working at BCIL, I wasn't fully comfortable identifying myself as part of the disability community. And I think part of that was some internalized ableism surrounding non-visible disabilities and, being like, oh, I feel this way, but other people don't necessarily respond to me as having a disability. And I didn't really take much time to be intentional about it and really think about what it's like to be part of that community. And then when I started working here, I was like, oh, wow, like there are many people who are just like me working here. I'm not sure if Bill has mentioned before, but a large percentage, over 70% of our staff are people with disabilities, and many people are people with non-visible disabilities. And so it's very comforting to be around other people who are really living as they are, as who they are. And I think it's made me feel a lot more comfortable speaking out about who I am, especially when people are like, oh, you don't look sick or you don't look like you have a disability, being able to kind of explain what it's like. And I mean, prior to working at BCIL, I tried to write, or I wrote and published a piece about college students with non-visible disabilities facing discrimination at the undergrad school I went to in Boston. And I think that was the beginning of me being like, oh, there are so many people out there who don't realize that there are supports out there for them and other people who are willing to support them. And so it's been really a journey of growth working here. And I am excited to see how I grow with BCIL moving forward, but also individually.
Absolutely. Bill, I'm going to ask you to jump in here because Kat talked about maybe not being as forthcoming, some years ago, and then being in the BCIL environment gave her a different level of confidence, exposure to others, part of the community. Can you just talk a little bit over the past 50 years? How are we doing as a society?
I think there's been phenomenal transformation. The model of independent living centers is what we call consumer control. So the majority of the staff, board, senior management have to be people with disabilities. And we got about 60 people now. So you're talking over 40 staff with disabilities. Society, as I said, when this organization started, was putting people in institutions. And we still have people in some institutions in nursing homes, but that census is reduced 1,000-fold or something like that. You have the Americans with Disabilities Act.
Yep.
We have an understanding now that our community includes people with autism, includes seniors, say, with dementia, mobility limitations. It's when we started BCIL, it was primarily folks using wheelchairs, and I understood it. There were no curb cuts. You couldn't have elevators in MBTA. You now see those things. We were part of a suit with Greater Boston Legal Services to sue the T. T's put a couple $2 billion into ADA compliance. Is it perfect? No. Is it better? Yes. Are they committed? Yes. and you just see folks out and about who have disabilities. I think one of the great things, and it's part of this whole broad disability movement we celebrate, think of the slowly evaporating stigma against people with mental health conditions. And mental health disabilities is probably the primary disability of our staff. People are coming out. We see, pro athletes especially. On every sport, tennis players, baseball, basketball, football, starting to come out of that closet around disability. It's a normal part of life. Depending on which numbers you look at, 1 in 4 people have a disability. And we try to hide this. It doesn't mean that everyone's going to face the same kind of barriers, but it's real important. You take the work Maximo does. The students we're working with, they're kids in BPS with significant disabilities, and he does work helping them get learners permits, or it might be cooking, or it might be going on to job training classes, things where in the past you just get put in some isolated place within the school and be on benefits the rest of your life. Some people are, and that's okay, but the opportunity to do something different is what we're trying to do. And again, we fight stridently to ensure people have the benefits to live independently. It's so vital.
Absolutely. Maximo, I want to ask you, Bill, Kat, and yourself have referred to independence. Can I ask you, what does it do? Bill talks about mental health. We talk about mental health in this space. May I ask, from a mental health standpoint, what either for you or observation of your students, what is the impact of building more independence? What have you seen when the more independence your students get, maybe the more independence you achieved? What does that do for your mental health?
Jimmy, I think independence builds more trust in students. They're able to think that they're able to complete a task on their own when they're independent, and they are able to see that they don't need anyone anymore to help them. For example, tie their shoe or make a meal for themselves. They see themselves that they're able to do it on their own, and they feel proud of doing that by themselves.
And that impact, if I could just, because I know you will speak to it a little further, what does that do for like their maybe self-esteem and their I'll say headspace?
So it kind of like builds it up, just because you know that you're capable of doing things that you were not able to do before. So it gives you more strength. It gives you more trust. Impact. It just brings you more peace, and altogether you feel that you can do anything that you set your mind to.
And you went on that path yourself, Maximo. I know you were ESL in Boston Public Schools, right? English second language student, right?
Yeah, I came to Boston when I was a teenager, and I started in the middle school at the Timothy Middle School, where I had all my classes taught in Spanish. And when I graduated from the Timothy, I went to Madison Park High School, all the way in Roxbury. And all of my classes when I was at Madison were English. So I didn't have any like Spanish teachers there. And then after Madison, I built myself up to going to college to Bunker Hill. Did 5 years there and got my degree in human services. And then before I started at BCIL, I graduated from UMass Boston with a bachelor's degree in human services. and a minor in Latino studies.
Bill, if you don't mind, I'd like to just jump in and you know, a lot of our young people and black and brown and you know, you're also working to reduce stigmas, and sometimes in that space, if people have unique abilities, they may often hear intentional, unintentional, that they can't. And we're sitting here today with two folks that are living proof that you can. And so I thank you for even having Maximo go. And Maximo, that smile with you saying that there, and Kat too, it just means so much. And it goes back, Bill, to the testament of the work that BCIL is doing and has been doing for 50 years. And it's, you know, we talk about non-visible disabilities, but sometimes we don't see the visible ability in what you're giving to those that you're serving there. And so, Bill, even with that said, if I could go total opposite, are there any challenges that you're facing? We know, but we know budget. We know, you know.
Yeah, there are no challenges. You know, we have roses coming up outside our offices. It's always 70 degrees in the sun. We haven't, the sun's out. Everything's cool here, man. Yeah, the challenges are, you know, you get tired of saying the statement, we made great progress, but a lot needs to be done. It sounds like a throwaway phrase, but it's a real phrase and it's true. What have you got? You know, the T still isn't fully accessible. You still have all kinds of prejudice. It's rooted, it's intrinsic. You know, we now identify it as ableism. You can talk about ageism. I mean, there were folks who wanted to cut services for the PCA program. We saw that. You know, which would have really put people back into facilities, you know, and lose their independence. You still see schools struggling to provide equal integrated education for somebody with disabilities. Where are we going with understanding of genetics? You know, that gets real shaky, you know.
Yeah.
We don't want those kind of people, and that gets into euthanizing and eugenics and history of eugenics on marginalized populations, as we know, is really bad. So you're out there pushing on many different fronts. You know, one of the things we're proud of here, we started the first attendant program in the state, maybe in the country, consumer controlled, not just an agency telling people what to do. You know, this group was one of the first organizers of disability pride events in the 1990s, rallied at Copley Square, marched down, you know, Boylston Street, when that stuff wasn't cool, you know, for people with disabilities. I think you have to keep pushing to normalize, and then you have to address just simple things like accessible housing, affordable housing. You know, we can talk about movement politics, and I think they give us an impetus to do the right thing. But for the average person with a disability, you just want to be able to find an affordable place to live in the city. You want to be able to get on the orange line without falling between the gap from the platform to the car. If you're in BPS, you want somebody who will, you know, give you a good IEP and help you get on to, you know, maybe UMass Boston or RCC or Bunker Hill or Harvard, you know, MIT, whatever, or go across the country somewhere, you know.
Bill, I just noticed a comment on Instagram, and Di Ellie said, that's right, inclusion is key to continuing to make this work. And that, you know, again, there have been times when I've been in meetings and we're talking about equity and things like that. And I find myself often saying, and don't forget, in a simple way for folks to know what I'm saying is, don't forget the ADA community. We have to be sure that that is inclusive in our intersectionality. Kat proved, and also Maximo, as he came as a ESL learner, there's a lot of intersectionality caught up within the space of those that are living through and accomplishing, and for lack of better words, killing the game, as the young people say, when it comes to life and just being independent. And so I salute both of you for what you're doing and just making it there through life, but then helping others make it through life experience. And so I salute both of you. I'm going to ask both of you a question before we get ready to go, but I wanted to let folks know that 1 week from the wait a minute, this is is this week the 14th? Oh Jesus.
It's the 21st, September 21st.
September 21st, we are having the 50th anniversary celebration of Boston Center for Independent Living. And so if you go in the comments, there's a hyperlink there for you to get information, for you to buy tickets. It's from 1 to 4 p.m. in the afternoon. And so we're going to be out there celebrating. Yours truly.
And it's free. You don't have to buy it, and just register. We'd like you to register, and you can show up if you don't. But please come. Yeah, thanks, Jimmy.
Please come and celebrate. And I look forward to meeting both Hope, Maximo, and Kat will be there. We can take a picture and we get a seat with you all. And Bill, it's going to be good to shake your hand and grip you up because there's such a regard and respect for you, sir, and your dedication and things that you accomplish in this community. So the hyperlink is in there. Also, if you hit the homepage of Boston for Center Independent Living, after you go to that page, there is also a donate. Well, the donate button's at the top of all of that. And so if you want to donate, if you can't make it, there is no cost to go. But if you want, all these other events have ticketed prices. And if you wanted to go and you was willing to buy a ticket and you still want to go, well, make that donation to Boston.
We got live music there too. So good music too. By people with disabilities, quality acts, very quality acts.
Now, let me ask you something, because I'm a foodie. Quality acts or quality apps? Which one did
ACTS.
I'm a foodie. I'm like, quality apps? Okay.
We're going to have the sausage guy there outside.
Oh, Bill, I love your candor. I love it. Tony Troop is in the room and saying the event is free and open. Absolutely. And so we're glad to make sure that you know that you can go and attend. Don't forget you can donate as well. And so I'm going to start with you, Maximo, because Kat has been so wonderful sitting up here with us testosterone holders, and we want to let her close it out. I want to, Maximo, if I could ask you a question. If you could cast a vision for BCIL 50 years from now, what does that look like?
If I could cast a vision for BCIL 50 years from now, it would be like people with disabilities living the life that they want, free from discrimination, free from prejudice, doing what they want to do without being looked at, and just being as independent as possible, and doing what they dream of doing in life, completing their purpose.
Absolutely. Bill, I'm going to ask you to chime in, so we absolutely give Kat the last word.
You are a good host and a smart man.
Bill, what do you see for the next 50 years of not so much the center, but you've often referred in this conversation to a movement? What do you see this movement looking like 50 years from now for all the centers, for all the advocates, for all of those that are striving to live independently? What does that look like?
It looks like the communities that live within the country. And that's something we've really tried to push here, that we embrace and respect the diversity of our countries, whether it's age, gender, ethnicity, race. That's one of the big changes and things we've been pushing, in that it gives voice to people and that it keeps its edge, that there's a bit of chutzpah, there's a bit of willingness to challenge ourselves, to challenge power, to question authority. Question authority, that was a big saying back in the 60s and 70s of, what propelled a lot of movements. And we have to keep doing that. That's what's essential. It's easy to get institutionalized in the sense of, oh, we got our money, we're going to provide services. And that's real important. If you don't have housing, saying you want housing, or, you're going to be evicted or something, or you can't get through school, that's first and foremost on your agenda. You're not into like esoteric things, so to speak, or anything like that. But all of that, it's got to be driven by a vision of inclusion and challenging, because power will always try to push you aside. So you got to speak out and seize power in the community.
It's so interesting because he dropped that real it's simple, but it's profound. And just at the end, it just dropped that huge big nugget and then just stopped. Bill, you're the man, brother. You are the man.
Not really. They're the people.
Absolutely. And Kat, I am so honored that you are going to close us out. Bill said that I was wise in having you do that, and I had that foresight. But what does 50 years look like, Kat, for independent living for you?
Sure. I think that for me, it'll look intergenerational, and people will be living at the intersections. I know a lot of younger adults thank a lot of the older adults in this field for the work that they have done and what they went through living in institutions, and all the work and advocacy work that they did for us to kind of be able to be more open and live as ourselves. And then I know a lot of the older adults thanking the younger adults for continuing the work that we're doing and being courageous and brave to live authentically as ourselves. So I think it's really important. And I do believe that it'll continue to be intergenerational, and that's a really beautiful aspect of it. I think just along with what Maximo and Bill were saying, having more people living at intersections, living at independent living centers is really important, just so people in the community see that they're working with people who are just like them. I think it's also really important to continue the work, and I do think that this will happen with people without disabilities too, and not just working with people with disabilities and inviting them into our advocacy work. I don't think many people realize that disability is the only minority that doesn't discriminate, and anyone can become disabled at any moment. And so it's really important to continue to work for accessibility and universal design, because it doesn't just benefit the disability community, but it benefits everybody. And if you live long enough, you're most likely going to be a person with a disability or just an older adult who needs extra support. So that's what my vision is.
Another one, drop it like that. Just I'm on the cliff. But no, Kat, thank you. Maximo, thank you. Bill, thank you. If I understand right, I'll surmise what I heard for the next 50 years. We have a society where those that are living with unique abilities, disabilities, can live their best life in a manner that intergenerationally we are living in the intersection of what benefits us from celebrating the equity and the appreciation and the advocacy that this community, as you said, embraces everyone. Someone else said that in another show, that it's the minority group that doesn't do, so interesting, the minority group that doesn't do any discrimination. And so that society is just a lot. I'll put my part. We're living with humanity. If we function on the ability to be human, we'll all be good. Y'all done got me in a whole different space this morning. Thank all three of you for being with us. I look forward to meeting you guys face to face on the 21st. Don't forget, folks, the link is actually in the comments right now. If you would like to go, it is free. It is on September 21st. And you can also donate if you would like. But if you would like to attend, there isn't a ticket price. But if you wanted to attend and was willing to pay a ticket price, make that donation to the Boston Center for Independent Living. Maximo, Bill, Kat, thank all three of you for being. It is so great for me today to be closing out this week with you all. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Hope to see you. Looking forward to seeing you at the Reggie.
Absolutely. Thank you all. Have a great day and great weekend.
You too.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
I hope you got some not only inspiration, but understanding that you can do it. there's a few things that came out of today's episode with speaking with BCIL. So I am so glad for them being here with us today. Listen, just a few things. Tony is in the back making sure to register for the BCIL anniversary celebration on September 1st. And we have another link there. So there's 2 links. So you don't have an excuse not to go. Also, you can follow them on social media, Boston Center for Independent Living as well. So Tony, I would presume you've been in the background. Maybe you were the one working with Anissa to get this schedule. So thank you for what you're doing. Folks, one major announcement. After let me just hold on. Hey Siri, how many days has it been since March 24th, 2020? $1,633 days ago. I don't remember what time it was, but for about 1,600 days, we have gathered for the first year every single day, except for Saturdays. I believe we were at 10 a.m. and Sundays we were 1 p.m. For that first year. But for approximately 1,600 days, we have went live generally at 9 a.m. Monday through Thursday to bring awareness and information to the community and resources to allow them to take. Y'all enjoying this. Alexa, cancel. For about 1,600 soul days, we gathered at 9 a.m. And if you remember back in March, for 1 week, we went live at 10 a.m. The next week, we went live at 12 noon. Let me back up a little bit. During the pandemic, folks were able to come in the morning and listen. And in March of 22, we did start to notice a drop off in our morning numbers. A lot of people had shared they're back at work. And so another thing that people had shared is, and this is funny, they're like, Jimmy, I don't watch you when I'm at work. I put you on, I put the phone down, put the headphone in, and I listen like it's a podcast or radio show. And some people had started to share, Milagro, I ain't messing with you. Some people had started to share, and I ain't messing with y'all. Y'all just love Alexa. And some people started to share that doing that at 9 a.m. was an issue. They just get in the office. Now, first of all, let me just say, if your work starts at 9 a.m., you shouldn't be walking in the office at 9 a.m. You should be walking in the office at 8:55, get ready at 9 a.m., start. But I'm going to leave that there. But we're moving to 10 a.m. To allow people to be able to listen at work. Also, it gives me another hour rest in the morning. But we did notice a significant of enough increase. There wasn't really that much of a variation between 10 a.m. and 12 noon, but chatted with the team, and we're going to move to 10 a.m. starting Monday, September 16th. The Java Cafe will open at 10 a.m. For those of you that have been with us for the past 4.5 years, and this is ingrained in your schedule, I get it. I do get it. But as we're expanding, as we're trying to expand our reach, it was a hard decision. You all know I tried to do it, I think in 22, and you all were adamant. No, we're not. But I thank you for your flexibility. I also want to thank all of you, new, old, just coming in today, charter members, for being part of the Java Cafe. And we're going to continue to grow. We're just going to grow at 10 a.m. Monday through Thursday at 10 a.m. And there may be some changing to that frequency coming as well. And so I always keep you all up to date when I'm considering significant changes to the schedule and programming, because there is no Java Cafe without you all. So that's it for me this morning. Shout out to Pops that's over listening on Instagram, Kim as well. Amandi Music was on, and a few other folks. Lacey was on as well. And we're going to have a sort of a parent support group show next week between Lacey and I forgot the brother's name. They came in and chatted with us a few months ago and talked about his parenting. And so that's going to take place next week. All right. So Monday, 10 a.m. For those of you that are going out, I will see you later this evening at Uncle Thaddeus's Black Joy event. Doors open at 5 and we're going to get started early. I'm also serving as your MC at that event this evening. And also next Saturday, the 21st, for the Boston Center for Independent Living. A couple of other things are coming down the pike as well. All right, folks, that's it for me. Thank you for the past 1,633 days of being with Java with Jimmy. We got 1,633 times 3. More to go. All right. Also in March, I'm just putting it out there now. We're going to do a Java gala for 5 years of Java with Jimmy. And that y'all start getting your little sequins and all that. That's going to be, we're going to have a nice event. We're going to dress it up, celebrate 5 years. We're going to shake our groove thing, give out some Red Cup awards, and go home. So we'll keep you abreast of that. Michelle D. Smith, thank you. Miss Teresa, thank you. Miss Teresa is in, y'all. I've seen a few folks asking and checking and seeing on her. And so she is recuperating still, not completely resting the way she should. I'll leave that there. And so, Miss Teresa, thank you for everything you do. I will eat and drink. Lisa, good to see you in the building. And that is it for me, everyone. Karen said she's going to start looking for her dress now. Y'all know what the color scheme is, so we're going to leave that right there. All right, I'm getting off of here. It's 9:50. UCB, y'all ain't slick. I did see Sharon Cornelius say something about UCB. Wednesday will be double duty for some of us UCB. What is Wednesday? I forgot, but double duty, double points for UCB. All right, everybody have a great weekend. For those of you that are going to Black Joy Day today, we'll see you there over at the ICA. Otherwise, we'll see you on Monday morning at what time? 10 a.m., everybody. We'll see you then. Thank you very much.